Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Basically, why MDM was utilized or why MDM came into picture. MDM came into picture because the industry was having multiple applications. What happened with that was every department's application was having their own data or the database, due to which there were repercussions of duplicate data. The reports they were getting were not efficient and effective, as they were not giving the entire truth that how many customers are there and how many revenue they have generated by each customer. Because of multiple applications, multiple databases which were storing the same data or even a little bit of distinct data as well. Plus, there were some repercussions or impacts on the deliveries or the data which were in the context for any customer. Because when a service industry or a product industry goes ahead and grabs a particular customer, they create a PO for that particular reason and all the sales for either for services or product for us. Service is also a product for a service company. We'll say it's a product, basically. If any product is being sold, that was being handled by the sales department, but then they were having some kind of queries or something. They were moved to the support systems or the support department. What that was giving, that if a customer has moved on or if a customer has changed his contact number, that was not been updated in the sales system. If the data was being asked from the sales system, they were giving the old data for the particular customer, and due to which what happened was multiple times when the deliveries were happening or the contacts were being done, they were not able to find the customer at that place or over on the phone. But when they took the data from the support, they were having the latest data because they were communicating with to and fro with the customers. They were having those kind of data in their environment or in their application as leaders. They were not able to manage multiple databases and can carry out the applications or can carry out all these things through using multiple databases. At the end of the day, what happened was they created a new tool which was based on database itself, the relational database. What it was doing was it was taking the data from multiple databases or multiple applications, which in terms in MDM, we call that as sources. There are two types of sources. One is internal and one is external. Internal means which is created from MDM itself. External means all the applications. With that utilization, what this tool started doing was they wrote multiple algorithms for match, that they can find out what all customers are duplicate or similar enough that we can say that these customers are duplicate. That they can find out the latest information from each section of their department to be stated in a single record for that particular customer. What that helped them out was they started to get a correct or a good picture than what they were having before of their own company. That how many customers are there and what is the revenue per customer they are getting. Later on, these tools get refined and defined as Informatica was standing from very long time. It got matured earlier than other tools. Hence, in the Gartner's algorithm or Gartner's quadrant, Informatica is the highest ranking MDM tool. IBM MDM is behind it. Then there are lots and lots of others. Each MDM has its own speciality and its own utilization. According to the requirement, we go ahead and use the MDM tool, that which particular tool will be beneficial for the customer. That's how basically the MDM journey started. Over here, let me just go ahead and you can see on the left hand side we have stated all the third-party operational systems. These are the entire applications or the databases which a company or a customer is handling. It can be any XYZ systems, any XY databases. Even the cloud. Why I say MDM is a great or not great, then a better approach or a better suited path forward, because we have seen languages are coming and they are growing into other languages. Behind it, either it would be C++ or it would be C#, ET or C++, which is going ahead and converting them into multiple libraries. And we are getting new libraries or new classes for going ahead and doing the functionalities. But in MDM doesn't matter which particular database you are using, even if you are using cloud, even if you are using big data, even if you are using anything. Later on, this will be a non-file based or a non-relational database like the big data and all. But even if you are using a big data in a rational database form or in a relational database, that particular system will be still called as a legacy system for MDM. Because it is taking the data from there and it is enriching the data at the end of the day. That is why I say MDM as a better path forward for any data to be migrated. All the applications which are company or which the customer is handling, all those things are called as external source systems. Whenever the MDM journey starts, we always go ahead and analyze all these source systems. In this, what happens is all the data will go ahead and analyze for 3 or 4 major reasons. First reason behind is we need to check how much the data is garbage or data has noise in it. What happens on that is we need to find certain number of business rules which can reduce those noise and to clean that particular data. Second thing which we do in the external source system is we find out how much data is matching, how much duplicate we are having inside one system and across systems. Using the data quality tool, we have matching over there, or by utilizing the SQL fuzzy logic which is given by SQL itself, SQL and Raki. We use those kind of things to find out how much data is duplicate. Those things are the first part which we go ahead and do. And finally, a person will be there who will be going ahead and try to model all those applications into a single model that it can have all the data which will be coming from different source system. If every source system is having, let's say, 20 attributes per system, you are in the end of the day, your MDM model might have 40 or 45 attributes or maybe less, according to what all attributes are similar in each system. It is a joint or a merged kind of a model which MDM holds. When you guys have already gone ahead and done your work in ETL, that how to migrate the data from one particular source to one particular target. That's what we utilize for shifting the data from the applications which are maintained initially by the company. That is moved in MDM. The stages in Informatica to move the data from one place to another. First is landing, second is stage, and third is base object or load. After the data has been moved into the main table or the match and merge has been done, all these things which are being mentioned, unify, stewardship, all these things will be done in those process. Later on, that particular data which is being mastered or which is clean, which is enriched, that is again sent back to those applications or to the reporting systems for creating the BI reporting reports. That is something which MDM works on. This is basically how the MDM architecture works. As you have gone through with ETL, you will be knowing that ETL is mostly utilized for batch time and near to real time. They have to go ahead and schedule them. Correct? In MDM, there is another one which is actual real time. How we can go ahead and do real time? Real times are always done using APIs, the API ports. The architecture with Informatica has gone ahead and created itself. It's basically a system integrated framework which it utilizes. Let's see all those things. Components of Informatica are three. Major components are three. First is Hub Console. Second is Provisioning Tool. And third is Active Ones. Your Hub Console is utilized to create your physical models hierarchy, your cleans function, which means like everything will be first created in Hub Console. Your entire modeling and entire configuration is created in Hub Console. It's the base of MDM. Whereas Provisioning Tool uses the MDM Hub Console configuration to create the UI according to the requirement. The third component is ActiveOS, which is utilized to create workflows. These are the three components. We'll be studying over here, all will be giving hands-on experience and all those things in two modules, which is Hub Console and Provisioning Tool. ActiveOS we won't be covering. Correct. Because ActiveOS is a different license and it's almost like it's a deep down like MDM. It has an entire different core structure. And over here with cloud, we don't have ActiveOS license. That is ActiveOS. There are some misunderstandings between cloud and on-premises. there are basically three types of architecture. If we say about infrastructure related, first is on-prem, which means the server itself is with customers. They are not utilizing any other server. That means on-prem. Second is cloud premises, which means they are using either the AWS, Google, Microsoft, any of their infrastructure to install the Informatica and to utilize it. Basically, they are installing the Informatica. And the third one is the pure cloud base, which means the SaaS platform, which is newly introduced by Informatica. Still, it needs too much maturity to go forward with, because in the cloud you'll get either product or customer. Your entire model will be already developed. You'll be just enhancing it by utilizing the business entries. That one is at product 360 or something. Product 360, customer 360, reference 360, entity 360. It's according to domain, which domain you are purchasing. Informatica has released only for two domains in SaaS as a SaaS platform, which is C360 and P360. Whatever will be going ahead and purchasing the license for a particular domain. We will get a little bit extra features and predefined entities and a little bit base objects and all configuration from the Informatica itself. Over here we are using multi-domain, which is Entity 360 or Enterprise 360. Domains can be customer domains, can be product domain, can be reference domain, can be your supplier domain, can be your vendor. All these are your domain, which Informatica gives you a little bit configuration from itself. CT60, RT60, 360. These are the four domains which Informatica gives you predefined configurations. Then in the architecture, there are three sections. These three sections are called as UI layer, which is evolved from IDD to E360, C360 and all. Then there is application server, which is splitted into two parts. One is application server, which is having the master, reference manager, hierarchy manager, activity manager. All those kinds of functionalities will be handled by one single piece of server. The second node is utilized for cleans, function, match and merge, all those kinds of activities, which we say it as cleans map server. Next one is your database. Now your database is split into two parts. One is master database, which will every single time it will come with your configuration. We'll go into deep what it will hold and what it will not. The second are the ORs, which is Operation Reference Service or stores. In that database, all your configurations and everything will be stored over here. According to your application layer, ORs will be storing your data and its own configuration. Application server it utilizes for all the activities which will be doing on hub provisioning to the data manipulation activities, all those things. Whereas the UI layer is the interaction layer for the data seabird as well as for developer to create those configurations and to manipulate the configurations which have been given. Database tiers are basically into two, as I stated, master database and operational training. Master database will be seeing all these things in the tool itself. First tool is, I would say, or second day half would be a little bit theory and PPT side, but later on everything will be on the tool section. Don't worry, it's not just theory. We'll be seeing how the master database looks like, what are the configurations which master database will be. We'll be seeing and all the same things in ORs as well. Master database contains the application layer configuration, which means how many ORS databases are there, what is the version of MDM we are using, what is the server we are using, application server, what is the database version we are using or the database application we are using. All those kind of stuff will be stored in master database. Like user, what all users are being created, which particular user will be having what all tool, access and everything. Those kind of areas will be stored in master database. Whereas your ORS database will handle your data, your entire model configuration, the user's rule and the relationship between them and other metadata which will be creating inside ORs. Application server. As it's stating, there are two places. One is application server, the other one was cleans and maps server. Application server is utilizing all the APIs. Get, put, delete everything. Every API for data manipulation will be going from application server. Whereas if there is any cleans function is utilized, match and merge is going through, all those processes will be handled by a different server altogether. And all these APIs are being driven from the application layer, which is the UI layer, the hub console, or the BES services, the business entity services, or directly the E3360 or C360, whatever you're using, those becomes the UI layer. Those APIs will be called from there. The application server, which will direct the process or the call according to which particular process it would require. And it's a thread architecture. It's a multi-thread architecture which is being designed in the backend. Batch flow, as we stated. How the data is being flown from one particular system to the end of table base object. How it does is, we have seen the ETL to push it into the landing. The ETL process is over here. It sends the data into the landing. We'll be creating the landing table. We'll be creating the stage table. We'll be creating each and everything mostly over here. It loads the data into the landing table. ETL job is done and MDM job starts after the data is in landing table. Stages always truncate and load. Every time the data is coming in this raw table, reject table, there are two other tables which will be created. Raw table is utilized for auditing purpose. For delta detection, there are two other supporting tables. We'll be seeing all these things. It's just a walkthrough kind of a thing. The landing and the data which is sent to stage runs through mapping. we have a mapping inside MDM as well. That mapping will be having certain number of cleans functions involved. Else, that would be a pass through mapping. And according to what configuration we have done in stage, there might be certain number of records which will get rejected. There will be. If we have gone ahead and created the configuration for auditing, then the data will be sent to raw table. If we have gone ahead and created the data for our audit layer, then we'll have two different tables for that particular purpose. One would be OPL and one would be OPL and P, Anand table. Once the data is sent to staging table, then there is a load process. This process is called a stage process or stage job. Stage job will do the stage process, which will send the data from landing to staging by utilizing the mapping and the configuration for auditing and data index. And when that data is there in the staging table, there is a load job or load process which happens. In the load process, it goes ahead and sends the data into three different tables. First is cross-reference. I'll give you more deep knowledge about X-ray because there are 4 different tables, which is extremely useful and necessary because that will be containing the data according to the lineage, candidate or the source records, those kind of information. Then the load process also sends the data into history and all other tables like P, C, T table, match table and all those tables. And if there is any rejections happening, there are multiple reasons why rejects might happen. Certain numbers are if the load process, which kind of load we are utilizing. If you are utilizing load by row ID and that row ID object is not present, it will reject. If there is no parent detected and the child record is there, it will be rejected. The lookup value doesn't exist, it will reject. There are multiple reasons why a data can be rejected. Those data or the rejected data will be sent into the same reject table. Once the data is there in the base object, we go ahead and do a match and merge. Send, match and merge. Every time the data will be going into the tokenization format, the tokenization will be done. Match key, match process, match table. All these things will happen and the data will finally get merged with all the duplicates or the similar records. And that is how we get our golden record. In MDM, and golden record means the final report which has been created after all the process has been done by MDM. The cleans or the data is duplicate in landing table or any data which is not mapped correctly. The data is being sent for more length, those data. Over here, from landing to state, there are very less rejects. Very less. But in load process, all the validations or your referential integrity are checked. Hence, rejects are a little bit more in the load process. all the IDQ or your ETL, everything will be utilized over in these two sections. Everything from over here to end of base object will be utilized from the MDM itself. We will not utilize any other tool for it. This is a little bit similar to what we'll be seeing in Hub Console. You can see over here as cleans function. These are the place where we'll be creating the cleans function for us. And this uses the IDQ mappings as a cleans function, but the IDQ mapping should be published via a web service. Only afterwards we'll be able to do that. Address Doctor is a plugin which is utilized to verify the address which has been given by a record or by application for that particular record. Is it valid or not? But Address Doctor is only utilized for North America, UK, Canada and Australia. And for any other reason, there is no Address Doctor which has been there, because Address Doctor utilizes a database, either online or on premises, to be connected and to validate that particular address. If that particular person is staying over there or not. And for that, there is a third-party providers like DNB is there for getting the data for the customers as well as for all the other people as well. Either it's organizational or individual data according to our need. Even that also comes as a cleansing or where we can place that in this flow. We can use Address Doctor over here in the landing table. And also with this one, we have an external call as the dash services which we utilize for that particular purpose. But mostly we use Address Doctor in the landing process, which is IDQ or ECs, if you are utilizing the cloud service for integration. Then that is also outside of MDM. Outside of MDM, not inside of MDM. Because in the MDM, we don't want any third-party application to directly intervene for the data. This is more majorly on configuration. And the main utilization of MDM is to put up an activity or put up a process where your data will get duplicated. And all the data which is coming in should get enriched. More information should be updated by multiple applications at one place. That is the major role which MDM plays, that it becomes easier for governance activities to be placed on that particular data, that the data should not get any bad or worse in the state, which will lead to inefficient reports, which will lead to loss of revenue for the company. It's only to deduplicate and to supply back the information which is deduplicated and enriched. The second part, where I stated about data governance. It gives us support to data governance activities that can be placed very easily on towards the data. Because there are various different tools, various cheaper tools where you can go ahead and find out if they have what is the lineage of that particular data, how the data was being transformed. For those purposes, there are multiple tools. But this tool not only gives you the lineage of that particular data. Once the data is in, it also provides all those functionalities also. All these things in over here, these all sections which are over here. We will be going into the database and the tool to see how these things are working. Everything over here, it's been listed out. These things we will be seeing inside the tool directly. Go ahead and connect to the RDP. Over here in the RDP, you will find MDM credentials and URL and the Hub console. SQL developer for your database checking. URL, you just have to use the provisioning and the E360, that's it. Because BDD has already been expired, we don't use BD anymore. BD has converted itself into provisioning tool. In active viewers we do not use because that will be utilized if we have the activist designer where we will be going ahead and creating the workflow. This particular tool will be utilized to deploy it. That's it. There are two ORs which we have created over here. Let me just go ahead and give you a tour about Hub Console. You can see there are three types of database. The master database, you can see it as it is written as CMX over here itself. As I stated, that will just go ahead. We'll click on master database. Double click it or you can just click on. What all databases which we are having and the calculation. First thing is what our workbench and it is defined in processes. Processes are nothing but the flows, flow diagrams or process flows for each activity which workbench is giving us. There is nothing else in it. In your configuration, there are 5 different tabs. One is configuration model security, access manager, data sticker and utilities. In that for master database configuration part is only utilized for master database. There is nothing else which is there for master database to see or master database to handle it. In master database only, the metadata for according to application layer is only stored over there. Nothing else. Basically, the schema model which we would be creating would be stored in your ORs. All your configuration over here are stored in your ORS database. Like just for any example, is there that you can give for like what goes in the master database? Master database will hold all the configurations regarding the Workbench application layer configuration database, connectivity configurations, your users, which all users are being created configurations, what type of security providers, those types of information, what user will be having which tool access, that kind of information. All those things. We'll be discussing everything according to each and every section, this section, what all it will be holding. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.